Hello, and welcome to your follicular phase, also known as inner spring. I'm really excited to have you here. I'm really excited to speak about this. I love this. I'm so passionate about it, and I'm really, really grateful that you are here. So, today we're going to dive into what the follicular phase is, when it is, and how we can best align with it. So, let's get into it. So, your follicular phase begins the day after your bleed ends. If you're spotting a little bit, you are still in menstrual phase. So, the day where you have no spotting, no bleeding at all, that is the beginning of your follicular phase. This phase goes all the way until you ovulate. So, if you're using a calendar or an app that tracks and predicts when you ovulate, then that time from this first day all the way to that day of ovulation is the follicular phase. And you will use this information in this video to support you and align through that time. If you're using an app that works with temperature and you're taking LH strips, so you know you've ovulated, then you that's great. That's even better because then you know for sure the first day you don't bleed, all the way to that day of ovulation is your follicular phase, and you can start to see what your range is. A healthy range can be anywhere from 7 to 21 days long, and it's usually a 2-week average. Now, I want to shed some light here on the element and the moon and why I like to talk about the elements and the moon. Like I said before, we are cyclical beings, and our body, ourselves, our womb cycle, it mirrors that of these greater cycles. So with the earth, there comes elements that are aligned with this cycle, as well as the moon that are aligned with this cycle. So with element of air, think things are moving, it's crisp, it's fresh, it's light. That's how you might be feeling in this phase energetically. The moon is waxing. So the waxing moon comes after the new moon, and it's starting to gain energy. So think of this energetically in general. You're starting to get and gain this energy energetically, but also physically, your uterus is beginning to thicken. It's starting to build. So it's really lovely and beautiful that how we mirror these things. And lastly, I like to talk about the archetype. Think about the archetype of each phase as kind of archetype you want to embody that's going to align most with this phase. So the archetype for this phase is the maiden. So the maiden, she's bright and new and excited about life, right? And so she has a fresh perspective. She's happy, playful. That's how you're gonna pretty much feel most of the time in this phase, and lean into that and embody that because it's a really beautiful thing. So let's get into the hormones. So when you come out of your menstrual phase, your hormones are at their lowest and your uterine lining has shed. In this phase, your hormones start to rise again. Your hypothalamus signals your pituitary gland to send the follicle stimulating hormone, the FSH, to stimulate your ovaries. So once it starts to stimulate the ovaries, it's stimulating several follicles actually in the ovary, and they begin to mature. And this is prepping your ovaries to release the egg, right, which is in ovulation. So one of those follicles will become dominant, and that will be what produce. That's going to be the follicle that produces the egg. So this growing follicle releases estrogen. And so you'll start to feel a rise in estrogen. And this is no normal estrogen. This estrogen is a special type called estradiol. And estradiol is just wonderful for our body. And if you're using birth control and you're getting a synthetic hormone, you're not getting estradiol. So only our bodies make this, and only the follicles release this during this time. And it is wonderful for our health overall. The estradiol supports our bones, our muscles, our brain, our heart, our sleep, our skin, and our metabolism, just to name a few things. So it's a really, really wonderful hormone that we really want to support during this phase. Estradiol's main job, though, is to stimulate the uterine lining to grow and thicken and prep for a possible baby. And the estradiol also stimulates your fertile mucus. So let's get into the body vibes a little bit. The body vibes is your energy is going to increase. You're going to start that rise in estrogen brings that with it. And also you might be feeling a sense of openness and caring and love. So this just increases the energy. And then also your vaginal secretion will start to increase. Discharge will become thicker and stickier, and it may get a little tacky and sticky. As you get closer to ovulation, that will change. But during this phase, it's going to have the discharge is going to have like a yellow or white and tacky, sticky texture. So let's move on. Okay. So this phase, like I was saying, was aligned. It is aligned with the maiden, and this archetype. This is the mood, right? So these are all the things that you might be feeling in this phase, and everybody's a little bit different. So I just encourage you to get curious with your own unique cycle. Which mood here resonates with you? It could be one. It could be multiple. It could change daily. You might not feel this way every single day. It might alternate. If you're using an app, it's really fun because you can put some of these things in and really start to track how you're feeling in this phase. There's no wrong answer. You're uniquely you. So just trust that you know how you're feeling. And I encourage you to lean into that and what resonates with you. And this will enhance, your day and you can lean into these feelings. So let's talk about vulnerabilities. So with each phase, there are vulnerabilities to be aware of. And I like to talk about this because a lot of times we're kind of, before we learn about our cycles, we are just kind of like, why am I feeling this way? I felt this way last week. Why am I feeling way this week? Right? This is what is such a beautiful thing about womb alignment and cycle syncing is you can start to know where you're at in your cycle and anticipate some of these vulnerabilities so it doesn't feel like chaos. You can anticipate it and you can support yourself, but also you can validate yourself and be like, oh, okay, I know where I'm at and this will pass, or I know where I'm at and I know how to support myself. So I want to share that because it really is a gift. It's just we have to know ourselves, and that's what the beautiful thing about learning all of this information does. So you are coming out of your inner winter, you're coming out of your period, your bleed, and your energy is rising. But sometimes you're starting to feel like, okay, finally, my energy is coming back, and you might overcommit. You might be a little impulsive, and you might just be putting your energy in too many places and not being intentional. And I had talked about in the menstrual cycle in general video about the energies of the menstrual cycle. So you're in more of a masculine energy right now, but you don't want to overproduce that and to put too much out, because once you transition to more of that feminine, you want to use some of the reserve, right? So I always talk about it's really great to play and move and meet people and do things in this phase, but really try to be intentional and not overcommit. Also, and like I said, and it kind of goes into the too much too soon. Inner critic can come out, and the way that this comes out, I feel like sometimes is, because you are in this phase of the maiden and having new ideas and getting excited, sometimes that inner critic can get a little louder too. So just understanding and knowing that, hey, I'm going to have these ideas, and that inner critic might try to get in my way, but that's okay. Like, let me focus on all the lovely ideas and things I'm feeling and the seeds those metaphorical seeds I'm planting. So, how to spend your time in your follicular phase. So my face is kind of covering this, so I apologize. But basically, your strengths during your inner spring, your follicular phase, this makes it easy to let your mind run free and daydream. It's a time to plant those metaphorical seeds, just like in spring on earth, like I was talking about. Your creativity is going to be high. It's a great time to brainstorm with coworkers, with anyone you really want to brainstorm with. And also, it's a great time to socialize. That rise in estrogen is going to make you feel a little bit more social and wanting to do some new things. So, what about movement? How do we align with our bodies and our physical bodies in this phase? So, this is again that your energy is rising, you're feeling playful and optimistic. So, it's a wonderful time to try new exercises or go do like a group exercise you've never tried before. It's just a wonderful time to try new things with exercise. If you're starting to get more energy, so You can start to input cardio. I will say though, if you have a really stressful life or you feel fatigued a lot of time, I would just be mindful about your cardio because your energy is still rising. So if you do feel like that's you feel like you might be a little burnt out or stress is a little high, I would just be mindful about the cardio. Don't push yourself too hard. Listen to your intuition. And then as you get closer to ovulation, HIIT is a really great thing because you're going to be supported hormonally. And then what about with sex? These are just some suggestions. Take your time. Your body's still building. That cervical mucus and everything's still building. Your arousal state is getting a little bit easier, but you still might take a little bit of time to get fully aroused. So it's a great time to do more foreplay or role play. Fun time to just do self pleasure or build intimacy as well. So here are some follicular phase foods. With each phase, we want foods that support our hormones and what our body is doing. So these foods listed are not the only foods that you should eat, but rather I just want you to focus on trying to add them in during this phase with your meals. It's also really important that you feel joy when you're eating. Our studies show us that we digest better and absorb better nutrients when we enjoy what we're eating and we take our time and connect with it. So, look at this list, and it's not an all inclusive list, but look at it and be like, okay, I like these things, and start to try to incorporate them. So, just like on Earth, think fresh, vibrant, light foods. This will support your energized vibe. You want to focus on foods that support a healthy gut microbiome. You want to focus on foods that support the rise in hormones, foods that support liver detoxification, prebiotics that supports that gut, sprouted foods, and then steam and saute as this helps balance that rising energy and supports your metabolism and digestion. So this is just the idea during follicular phase. These are the main things that is really helping that follicle, that ovary, and really helping those hormones as you get closer to ovulation. So womb work. I always like to talk about a little womb work that you can do that you're going to be supported hormonally to do. So this is a great time to plan out your month. Your motivation, your creativity, your problem solving skills, clarity, those are all going to be really at a high during this phase. So it's a wonderful time to look at that and plan out your month. Here are some follicular phase affirmations that I like. I like to put these on little post-it notes or little cards and keep them around. And when I'm in each phase, I will read them and connect with them. And feel free to make your own that speak to you as you connect more with this phase and learn what's more uniquely yours. So these are just ones I really like. I am supported. I am open to all possibilities. I am a creative force. I trust in all that I am becoming. I am playful and spontaneous. I am aligned with my highest self. So here are some follicular phase journal prompts. And again, these are here to support you in this phase and support like what you're going through and what you might be feeling. So how can you begin implementing the first steps towards achieving your goals? And what is inspiring you right now? How can you invite more play and curiosity into your life this week? So if you don't have a journal, I do recommend you getting one and writing these things down and just having some fun with it. All right, so the follicular phase, these are the big takeaways of this season, of this phase that I really want you to be mindful of. If you don't get anything else out of this, is the big takeaways is the best part as far as, keeping it here. So care for your rising energy. Again, you're going to feel like doing everything. And I want you to go do those things that make you feel good and joyful and playful. I just ask that you be intentional and not overcommit so that you can care for that rising energy. And then cherish your new self. Don't take yourself too seriously. Have some fun. Be joyful. We are the maiden in this phase, and it's a really fun time to really channel that more playful self. And again, that talks about more that experiment and play. You're going to be supported to want to do those things and learn new things at this time, as well as take a risk. And here is some books that I love that really helped me through this journey. So if you want to dive deeper into this, these are the sources and the inspiration. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. I hope that this was informative. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or any comments. I'm always happy to talk about these things with you. And I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. Take care.